I need a break from the city, from chaos, and even from just routine. I don't know if you could tell from my last video, but I could honestly really use a mental refresh. So for the first time in my 3 years of living in vans, I'm going to try off-grid solo camping.
This means preparation I have never had to do before. I have always had all of the resources I could ever need just a few minutes away. Sometimes I even call Walmart my pantry because if I sleep there, it's almost as far of a walk as some people take to get to their kitchen pantries. So I tried to make a list of all the things I have to do before heading off-grid. I'm thinking since it's only my first trip, 3 days is a good test run, so nothing too crazy. First stop of the day was taking a shower at Planet Fitness and refilling my water jug, which I used to brush my teeth, wash dishes, etc. Then I picked up some mail. If it looks like a lot, it's because it is. I have been gearing up to annihilate this van build when I get back. Hopefully the weather puts up with that. So much of my building is dependent on if it's too windy, if it's raining. If it rains, I can't go into the desert because it gets muddy. And I'm just so ready to get this thing built out. After that, I filled up my gas tank, which reminded me why I prefer traveling in the city, as it takes up much less gas and miles on my vehicle, and a reminder of why I'm leaving Vegas for the next part of this build, because it has gotten out of control expensive here. People tell me all the time I should just live out in the middle of nowhere, but I don't think they account for the price of gas to get there and back. I have to shower, I need groceries, I have to pick up packages for the van build. Alright, so my last stop was to the grocery store for food, and then I hit the road. So today we're headed to a hot springs in California. This place isn't in the middle of nowhere per se. There's not really internet signal. There's enough that I can send a text if I need like an SOS, so I feel a little bit safer, but there's not enough to scroll. So I feel really good about getting a mental refresh here. I chose this spot for my first solo adventure off-grid because I've been here before with friends and camped overnight, so it felt like a good place to test the waters and be brave because I know it's safe and I've been here a few times before. All right, so I just turned off all notifications on my phone, put it on Do Not Disturb, so the mental refresh weekend can begin, and I feel really good about it. And it's a little bit more busy here than I thought it would be, but I'm sure as it gets darker, it'll clear out more. All right, are you ready to see our campsite for the night? I'm gonna go to the hot springs tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna ride my bike tomorrow afternoon. I'm just not a big fan of doing things after dark, and it's almost sunset now, so why don't we make a cute dinner? That'd be really nice with a great view. That's what we'll do. So earlier this month, I got this Bogie RV fridge, which was so exciting. I have not had a fridge in almost 3 months. So the last thing that I did prepare for this trip was to go grocery shopping for refrigerated foods, which is something I haven't been able to do since I sold my last van. Honestly, I felt like a little kid in Disneyland with how the options were just open again. So many foods that I have loved and not been able to have for so long. I am so tired of eating dry foods or canned foods or boxed foods. Or if I did get refrigerated foods, I'd have to speed eat it the next hour because I'd have nowhere to put it. This fridge is going to change every day living in my van, and my body is already feeling healthier and better just in the few weeks I've had it. Having a fridge in your build is a game changer for sure. Even if you're just a weekender, it will completely change your options, and the better food you fuel your body with, the more energy you will have to go on all these adventures you plan, like hiking and biking. Once my van is fully built, my mom will actually be using this fridge with an Anchor battery to keep her food in her car for hikes and soccer tournaments, to have cold water and snacks on hot days. And so I am so thankful for the sponsor of today's video. This is Bogie RV's CR Colorful Fridge. It came in 3 color options, and I obviously had to choose pink since it matches the current van's aesthetic, and now in my van I have real food for the first time in what feels like forever. I can genuinely feel my body having more energy since I stopped eating out and having real food again. Fruits, yogurt, granola, power foods that honestly I didn't realize how much of an impact poor eating decisions were having on my day until I started making healthier choices. And it feels like a weight off my shoulders. So So again, I am very thankful for having this fridge in my van. It actually pulls a surprisingly efficient and low amount of energy. It has become one of my most important everyday items in my van. For a portable van fridge with an efficient battery, it is genuinely a really good price. For example, the fridge in my last van was $1,000 and fit 50 cans. This fridge is currently on sale for $187 and holds 32 cans. So I could buy like 5 of my previous fridge for one of these. I'm using this fridge for a little bit now. It's actually plugged into my Red Arc battery system, and it pulls on average about 1.4. Right now the heater's on, so between the heater and this, it's pulling 3.6 amps. My only issue with this being here is that it's on my heated floor, and so it's having to use more power to combat the fact that my floor goes up to like 70, 80 degrees at night. So I'm definitely gonna have to figure out what to put underneath the fridge so it doesn't touch the heated floor anymore. But besides that, I am just so grateful and understanding now of how great it is to have real food on a trip like this. That was an amazing dinner, and I can't wait to do that all of the time now. I feel like my body, if you've been watching my channel for a little bit, I've started to get just depressed basically, and I think that has had to do with like the food, the exercise, the being in the van all the time, struggling making progress because of money. And I've really in the last week started turning those things around, and this was a big piece for me in that turning around period of I want to be healthier, and a fridge is a great first step for that. So here we go, my very first night solo camping off-grid. Alone. It already feels so much more peaceful. I have been out places like this, but I've been with someone else before. I've always been with like a friend, so I felt a little safer having someone else as I'm saying, I feel it was just something falling from the front seat. But my whole body jerked. I was gonna say I was feeling really confident. I thought I was. Anyway, when I'm usually in a place like this, I'm with a friend of mine where I know there's someone seconds away. But I added a lot of security this time around, and I added a lot of things that I feel like I'm ready for the worst case scenario, but I'm also confident the worst case scenario isn't going to happen. So I feel good. Ignore the jump scare I just had. It's gonna be a good night. But I'll give you the full review in the morning.
These are some of my favorite kinds of days. The days where you wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. And not the ones where you have some important work meeting you need to get up for or some monotonous routine to follow and you roll over and you hit snooze 5 times, but the ones where you wake up before the alarm even goes off and you're already out of bed, just feeling the rush of excitement for the adventure of the day, the unknowns, but also the anticipation of this thing you've been imagining doing for so long, and everything just feels internally right because today is the day.
I lost it. Okay, one more try.
Traveling like this always makes me feel closest to myself. It refreshes my soul from the chaos and the scrolling and work and just heaviness of life. I really value this time I get to have with myself. Honestly though, last night I did not sleep very well out here. Maybe it was a little bit of the nerves, but also the car was on a pretty big slant, which I'm not used to having to think about when I'm in the city. And even though there weren't too many, every car that drove by really shook the van. It usually isn't so bad when the van is built out because it has more to stabilize it, but with no weight up top of cabinets and drawers, etc., every car that goes by and everything just shakes, and that includes me in my sleep. So I just kept waking up. And the reason that I got up so early for this hot springs is because they're just so much more peaceful and serene at sunrise. However, I have never been lucky enough to be the only one here. There's always a group or someone else in the small lakes. However, today was my lucky day.
But unfortunately, by lucky, I mean that everyone else just didn't want to walk through the mud from the rain, and one man actually almost did, but he got out of his car, watched me struggle, and then got back in his car and drove away, deciding it wasn't worth it, which honestly, if I had more time, I probably would have made that same decision. But I only had time on my schedule for this weekend trip, and I would probably have done the same thing as him because this was actually really difficult. I slipped so many times, and the mud just stuck to itself, making my shoes become like weights. We're not even a third of the way there yet. My shoes weigh an extra like 5 pounds. They're picking up all of the dirt and not letting it go. Might be better just take them off, honestly. Oh God. Oh God. Okay, well now it's not a choice anymore. Oh God. Oh. Yep. You know what? Fine. Stay. Oh, ew. It's so cold. My feet are numb. Ooh, okay, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Look how warm it is. Oh God. Maybe I should have brought the shoes. Oh, ow. It's coming right off. My feet feel like they've been in prison. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And I did it all to myself because no one else is crazy enough to do that. I forgot a hair tie. Well, there's no way I'm going back now. This is what we get. The water is so warm, and it's just such a beautiful morning with the sunrise. And usually when I'm here, there's a lot of people chatting, and there's no one else here because of the mud. And so it's one of those things where it's like, maybe it was a bad thing. It wasn't a fun thing to walk through, but there was definitely perks to it in the end. And it's just so relaxing to be out here in the silence in the morning and have it all to myself with the sunrise. It looks more like that. Unfortunately, I do need to head back to the van now to get a little bit of work done. Hopefully there'll be enough internet, but if there's not, I'll hop on the e-bike and see how far we have to go until we get some internet. Walking back to the van was just as much of a muddy adventure as the walk to the springs. I regret not spending more time at the springs, but honestly, I got a little uncomfortable with the silence and didn't really know what to do, even though I'm someone who is very comfortable being alone.
Oh god, they're like 40 pounds.
I just still sometimes feel the need to fill silence. Maybe that's why I've been a city girl for so long. I can be solo, but there really isn't ever silence in the city that has an itch that needs to be filled. But I know silence can be really healthy, so I'm working on it. When I finally made it back through the dirt, I found a puddle to rinse off my feet and my shoes, which were both just caked in mud again. However, my feet were just unfortunately covered in mud, so I had to waste some of my very limited clean water to clean my feet, which made me realize I need to get a portable shower soon too as well for the van, and the list of things this van needs just keeps adding up so quickly and never truly ends. However, the shower situation is also part of why I can't be off-grid for so many days, especially out here with the hot springs where the sulfur in the water just sticks to my skin and makes me feel kind of icky. It's why not getting my hair wet was such a big deal. So yeah, I guess when I have the money for a portable shower, it's going to be added to the long list of things this van needs. It seems like that list never ends lately. But for today, I'm just focusing on enjoying where I'm at in the moment and whipping out my e-bike to see what else this spot has to offer. Overall, I'm really enjoying being off-grid so far. I'm enjoying the freedom to have my doors open while relaxing and the lack of car horns, which I usually only get during building days when I'm in the desert. The excitement of this trip definitely got me even more excited for taking more trips in the future to off-grid places. However, honestly, I need to do some work on finding out what people do off-grid because I was just so unsure what to do next. Maybe next time I can make a fire or make s'mores. What other things do you guys recommend doing while you're off-grid? I could definitely take some notes. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.